What's up, Cody? What's up, Sam? Cody, let's see what you had a question here. I do mostly triathlons, but have a marathon in 3.5 months. I average 35 to 40 miles of running a week. Would you still recommend 20-mile long runs? Average long run right now is 13 to 16 miles. Yeah, I mean, I would still try to get a few of those. Uh, the fact that you have, about 14 weeks left, um, I would probably aim to get about three or four 20-milers in. I mean, you can still do some significant damage with 13 to 16 miles, but the fact that you're training for a marathon, you do want to get that long run out a little bit further. And it's for some athletes, they can do very, very well with this 13 to 16 mile long run. And again, it depends on what your goal is. You're obviously your background's probably extensive, having the fact that you're a triathlete. But yeah, I would get a few 20-milers in for sure and continue to stay consistent with that 13 to 16 miler for sure. Yeah. Sam, Coach Nate, hope you're enjoying the Mother's Day weekend. You're always the best. I appreciate it. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. How's it going? Hey, Lean, good to see you. Isaac, Edward. Isaac, training's going well. Did some track sessions last week. My long run will actually be tomorrow because I'm kind of nursing a sore right hip flexor from yesterday's tempo run. So I decided to rest today and just relax and then do the 14 miler tomorrow. But yeah, overall it's going pretty well. Trying to get back. It's been about 6 years since I've ran a race. And over 10 years since I've run a marathon. So it's, but it's good though, because the muscle memory's there. And I like the fact that I'm getting quicker. My leg turnover is getting better. And as you all know, I mean, it's just that consistent work and getting beyond, definitely putting in the aerobic fitness and aerobic mileage, and then starting the faster stuff. So yeah. Edward, I have a Cleveland marathon coming up, and it's supposed to be hot. Any heat acclimation tips? I've been doing sauna after runs. Yeah, sauna after runs. That's definitely hydrate well in that race. Make sure you're carb loading, hydrating very well the 7 days leading into it. Don't pass up any aid stations if it's going to be hot in Cleveland for that marathon. Take every aid station, even if you have to stop, like I mentioned in a few other streams, even if you have to stop for a few seconds just to make sure that you're drinking the contents out of those cups instead of just running by and grabbing one and then the majority of the contents being, spilled out. It's better to do that and then, stop for a few seconds, speed up for a few seconds to make up the time. But just passing aid stations, especially when extremely hot like that, definitely a no-go. I would also, if you can get an ice vest. I know they sell those on Amazon, but wearing an ice vest during your warm-up, making sure you're staying as cool as you can. We saw that in the Olympic trials. What was it? The last Olympic trials in the States here. They were wearing, especially in the women's 10,000, I remember watching that. And they were wearing, in the men's 5,000, they were wearing those ice vests leading up to seconds leading up to the race. So I would consider getting one of those too. Good luck in Cleveland too. Hopefully everything stays smooth for you and you do well. Patrick, finally able to make one of these. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the ladies out there that are putting in the work and for all you do, that's for sure. Kenji, hey coach, I start my tempo pace running 310 kilometer pace. Can I run 305 per K in a race if my tempo at 310 per kilometer, 10 kilometers? Yeah, Kenji, I definitely think if you're able to do tempos at 310 per K, and you're doing 310 K tempo pace in training, if you got some competition with you and you go on with tapered legs, a 305 kilometer pace, yeah, it's a little bit more intense, but the fact that if you can go into that tapered down and you have some people to push you along, yeah, definitely, I think you can do it. Marin, good coach to see you back. Yeah, I tell you, these streams, man, the week just flies by, doesn't it? It was like last Sunday I was on here, but the week definitely flies by. But yeah, it's great to see all you all on here as well. Hope you guys and gals have had a great week of training, and looking forward to the upcoming week. Let's see here. What else? Today during my long run, I kept reminding myself with your advice, with your mantra, the body will adapt to the stresses you're placing on it during the run. Fast running during the long run is hard. Yeah, it really is. That the long run, it's one thing to go out and do a long run. It's already hard enough just to do a long run. To go out there and actually do 14 to 20 miles, whatever, 25 miles, however far you're going. But to do that and then just pick up the paces, and you're running at anaerobic threshold, you're running at VO2 max, you're running at jog pace, you're continuing to mix up the paces during these long runs, that makes it so much more difficult and tough to adapt to, especially the first few weeks, because unless you're fully committed, in which all of you are, I know, but it can be frustrating when you want quick results and it's just not occurring in the first couple weeks, the first 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes 6 to 8 weeks, or so, to really see some significant changes in your fitness. But yeah, it's no joke, Maureen. That's it's definitely facts. Hey, Lane, good to see you, man. Pickle, KD, AAQ, Kenji, Phillip. Let's see. Lane, 10K race today. Didn't run well today, just like a couple weeks back. It was 20 degrees. Yeah, hot, but I have realized all my running training is a mile to 5K specific, and I rarely do a long run. Yeah, Lean, I mean, the heat will definitely play a factor for sure. Just know that, just chalk this up as a hard workout. That's all this was. It was a 6.2 mile hard, anaerobic threshold run, slightly harder or right around that effort. But that's what it was, man. It was a nice, strong effort. You'll get a nice physiological boost from this. And just keep thinking ahead, the fall, once things starts getting, much cooler and the temps aren't so hot and humid. Yeah, this time of year is tough to run. Like I've even planned out. I'm not running a race until September, a 10-miler, a half marathon in October, and then another race at the very end of the year. But yeah, it's tough to race in the middle of the spring and summer type months for sure. But if it's like a 5K or 10K, that's reasonable. It's these longer races. It's like 32K, 10 miles, half marathon in the heat. That is really hard to deal with for most runners. Some runners can handle it, and kudos to them. But I'm a cold weather runner, so I definitely hear where you're coming from, Lane. Pickle, for high school cross country, track and field, would it be beneficial to add a 90-minute or so run on the weekends, even if it's at a more of a recovery pace? Yeah, that's okay, Pickle. I mean, I was watching a video of Yuki Kawachi from Japan, and he said that the majority of his easy runs, now remember, Yuki is a 2:07 marathoner, and he says that the majority of his easy runs, he's running at 5-minute kilometer pace. That's about 8:03 mile pace. So I thought that was a really good indication, just a good example that somebody that quick and that accomplished, Boston Marathon champion, ran 2:15 in the pouring down rain. He's broken sub 2:20, I think 118 times now for the marathon. It's a good reminder. And even he said that too, that, because I get a lot of questions on the length of long runs, how far should your long runs be? As I always mention, it varies from athlete to athlete, but even he says he does 50-kilometer long runs once per month. And the guy that was, I think it was Sweat Elite, was the name of the channel, but they were interviewing him. And the guy, Matt Fox, I think, heads up Sweat Elite. He was running with him, and the Japanese interpreter was riding the bike next to him, because Yuki can speak a little bit of English, but he was saying that he likes to go 50K because it makes the marathon distance seem very short. And that's, I wouldn't recommend that for most athletes to go that far. I mean, I've done a 30 miler one time in my career. I didn't go 50K, but for most athletes, 16 to 23, right around that range is okay. But yeah, I think for high school cross country track and field, 90 minutes on the weekend, as long as it's recovery and really relaxed. Because again, high school athletes, they're, as you know, they're running so many different events. Back in the day, I ran the 800, the 16, the 3200, and the 4x8. They're running so many events during the week and putting in so much speed workout that recovery is definitely mandatory. So make sure that, as long as they're really taking it easy and hydrating well during the run and after, yeah, they should be okay. Anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. Katie, I'm in the same boat as Patrick. So happy to finally see you live. Ran my 10K today, first in a decade. Okay, congrats. It went well. Incorporated a lot of your advice, so thank you. That's awesome, Katie. Congrats, man. First 10K in a decade. So that's inspiring to me too, because I mean, it's been about 6 years since I ran a race myself, but a decade, yeah, that's awesome. I know it's been over a decade since I've run a marathon. Last time I ran it was the 2013 California International Marathon. I ran 2:32:55 when I was 37. Yeah, that was the last one I ran. It wasn't really planned that way, but it's just, looking back at it, I would have preferred to continue to have done that, but I think I needed a break too. But it's exciting to get back out there. Congrats, that's awesome. AAQ, hey coach, crushed a 22 miler yesterday. Feel ready to go 3 weeks to Rio de Janeiro Marathon. What to focus now? Cheers from Brazil. Yeah, but respect to you, man. 22 miles, you're ready. You're definitely ready. And I know Rio gets hot down there, so make sure you're hydrating well in that race. I mean, if they're handing out sponges and just don't pass up any of the aid stations. Make sure to take on some gels. If you can take about 4 or 5 of those in the race, obviously you've done your homework and training, and to be able to do 22 miles right now, that's awesome. Congrats, you're on your way, man. Kenji, any other question? And my other question is, if my 10-kilometer tempo run is 3K, 310 per K, can I drop to 3 minute to 2:59 per kilometer at the end of this year, only 10 seconds per kilometer? Yeah, I mean, that's a big jump, but again, if the athlete, you go in tapered correctly and you've really built a strong, consistent volume, you've really stayed consistent with your volume, but it's been quality work. You've really been smart with your training. Running 2:59 to 3 flat K pace is still doable. I mean, if you're asking like 2:40, that's a massive, massive jump. But 3:10 to 3 flat, it can be done. Yes. Yeah. Hey, Philip, is there an indicator workout that I could do to determine if I'm in sub 18-minute shape for the 5K? I'm currently at 18:37. Yeah, let's see. Let me see something. 18-minute for 5K. Say 5:48 mile pace. 5:48 mile pace, 3:36 kilometer pace. I would say a good indicator would be if you could do, and again, this is just my opinion, so it's nothing, nothing, take what you need. But I think if you can hold 2 miles, maybe do a 2-mile time trial about 5 days out from your 5K in around 5:30 to 5:35 mile pace. If you can hold 2 miles at that pace, you're running significantly faster than goal 5K race pace. But anywhere from a mile to 2 mile time trial. 2 miles maybe running at 5:30 to 5:35 pace, maybe a little bit aggressive, but if you can go between 1 to 2 miles, depending on how you're feeling, at least 1 mile at significantly faster than 18-minute 5K race pace. I think that's a good indicator for sure. Yeah, and you're at 1837 right now. Yeah, I think if you go in taper down correctly and you really hang on because it's not you're already running extremely fast already. So to go from 1837 to 1759, it's a big jump for sure. But if you don't get too excited in that first mile, hold back somewhat and then try to as soon as you get to the mile, then make your move. Then make it a 2.1 mile race. Don't try to win that 5K in the first or try to break 18 minutes in the first mile and go far too anaerobic. So, Marian, Coach, how often would you recommend a race on the track? The season is about to start. Uh, would you start with the 800, then build up to a 5K? And what is the best way to build leg speed and endurance? Good question. Um, Again, some athletes are stronger in these longer races, and others are stronger in the shorter races. But I do think that um, starting off in an 800, I mean, if I was training I mean, that's when I was in college, I never really focused. I never ran an 800 after college or after high school. I ran too flat for 800 in high school, and never ran the 800 again. And that's one of the regrets I have that I didn't run that event in college because I always, I definitely had the speed to get in the ones, 150 something. But I think for athletes that are trying to run faster, starting off in some shorter races, some 400s or 800s, even if you're not really you're more of a 5K, 3K, 10K athlete, jump in some of these races that you're not really accustomed to, I think is good. 400 or 800. Yeah, I would do that for sure. Best way to build leg speed and endurance, just continue to implement 1 day a week on the track or on the roads. Fartlek workouts are great. Um, like 10 to 15 times 30 seconds uh, at your 3K to 5K race pace if you're training for like a 10K, or maybe if you're training for an 800 to a mile, just running very aggressive in those, for 30-second blocks, or 10 times 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, changing it up, 10 times 2 minute hard, 2 minutes easy. Fartleks are great. Hill training, of course, where you're really having to focus on your form, pumping your legs, lifting your knees, um, activating those muscle groups that you're not going to use on flat surfaces. So I really think that's important too. If you're really wanting to work on your speed, then definitely focus on that in training and don't deviate. Stay committed on it and say, this is what I'm going to do each week. I'm going to do a tempo run. I'm going to do a track session or a road, some form of road work. That's fartlek or tempo run. I'm going to do one long run every week. And I'm going to stick to my game plan, and I'm not going to let up. Yeah. Hey, Sam, good to see you, Coach. After my DT shot, I stopped and hit the mountains with bike last week. My legs didn't cycle. I felt a different version of exhaustion, and next day I got sick. My MTB sessions 1 hour and like 400-meter elevation. I'm not going further. Not going further by training. When I recover, I will blood check. Want to search for. Yeah, I think if you're feeling flat and it's feeling chronic, like I said, yeah, I think a good option. It's just one option outside of just complete rest, taking some time away from the sport. But if you're running low on ferritin, you're running low on iron, yeah, definitely the blood check is the only to find out exactly what it is. If it is you're below 30 nanograms for ferritin, um, yeah, you don't want to run, and that's per some of the world's top exercise science authorities. They say don't run or try to race below 30 nanograms. So yeah, if you're feeling exhausted, definitely keep that in mind. That's a good plan of action. Hey, Yusuf, Patrick, good to see you. Let's see here. Yusuf, hello, coach. I was doing some 1K repeats, but I could not finish the workout because of fatigue and not any injuries. What to do in this case? It's frustrating. Does this happen to all athletes? Doing some 1K rate, but cannot finish the workout because of fatigue. Yeah, it does happen to a lot of athletes, and it's not anything you're doing wrong. More than likely, you just need another 24 to 48 hours of easy jogging before you do the next workout. A lot of times we'll start a track session, or we'll start a road workout, anaerobic workout, and you just feel flat from halfway through it. When really what you really needed was another easy recovery day before you did this workout. So just chalk this up as you did a solid workout, but I think you're going to be fine after about 48 hours. Just make sure you're jogging, hydrating well. Make sure hydration is so powerful and important, that you're drinking enough water, especially as it gets hotter. Throughout the summer and these hotter months. Definitely pay attention to your hydration. Patrick, KD, that's literally the same as me. I haven't even ran at all in 10 years and got a 5K May 27th. Yeah. Yeah, you guys, that's awesome. You guys are, back out there training, right? After a decade off. Yeah, it reminds me of the guy that Tommy Hughes just recently at 64 years old ran a 2:36 marathon. I remember reading an article about him that he took like a 10 years off. I think he started the first year he came back, he was 57, and he ran a 2:28 marathon at 57 years old after 10 years off. So, I mean, what he just recently did, I think it was the Denmark marathon, but he ran 2:36 at age 64. It's our age group world record. I mean, that guy's a machine. Lean, how long should a tempo run for a 10K be? I think a tempo run for a 10K should be anywhere from around 4 to 7 miles in length. I think if you go a little further, even up to around 8, build yourself up to that lean. Of course, it takes time. It's not, as it's not going to happen quickly. You're going to have to adapt to first feeling what 2 to 3 miles at tempo pace feels like. And at the beginning, that's hard enough. I mean, that's tough to do that and to get through that, and then gradually lengthen that out. I always think that if you're going a little bit further than the race distance at tempo effort, I think it helps psychologically as well. So I think anywhere from, if you can branch that out to 7 to 8 miles, I think you'll be dangerous. I mean, you'll get that. I think you're still you're aiming for getting under 16 for that 5K, and it's going to make you stronger in the 10K too. So, hey Isaac, good to see you, man. Q, Super Trebo, Mark. I have a 10K race in six weeks time. I'm in good 5K shape. I've been doing lots of sessions down at the track. Any specific workouts you recommend for a 10K? Yeah, I mean, I still like, you have to work your way up to it, but I do like that between 5 to 10K or 5 to 10 1K reps on the track at 5K race pace, with anywhere from 90 seconds to 2 minutes rest in between each one of the Ks. I like those a lot. I like 1600s once I've built myself up to that point, and train for the 10K too. 16 400s, 16 to 20 400s, run around 3K, 5K race pace. Again, running significantly faster than the goal 10K pace. Giving yourself obviously a little bit more recovery early on, but those types of workouts I really like a lot, Isaac. I like and then obviously still like doing repeat 200s, repeat hundreds, where you're really working on your raw leg speed, activating those fast twitch muscle fibers that really, I love that too. Because again, you've got to get that 10K race pace to feel easier, and it's just not, as it's not an easy process. But if you're working on the track like you're doing, you're staying consistent, you're relentless with the training, man, the sky's the limit, man. I wish you the best. Hey, Lean, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that, man. Let's see. Q, I run a 208 800 and 1022 miles, so I feel like I have decent speed. Of course, you got decent speed. That's good, and enough endurance to run around a 443 mile. But I've been running pretty consistent 451 miles and can't seem to get it down. Any particular way I should run it, my second and third lap are always the slowest, with my first lap being, in my opinion, that's what you just said. My first lap is the fastest, but my second and third lap are always the slowest. So my advice, and I made the mistake myself in high school as well, slow down, back off a little bit in that first 400 meters, and then start turning the screws, especially after the second lap. The third lap is the key lap in that race. Every lap's important, of course, but where most athletes get the weakest is in that third lap. So I think if you just slow down a little bit in that first 400 meters, you're going to go from a 451 mile to 439 or 440. It's just a matter of being a little bit more conservative in that first lap. Let's see, you're still going out. You're going out a little too aggressive in that first lap there. And you're going out at 428, 1600 pace. So the goal right now, anyways, is 443. You want to run around a 443 mile. So I think going out in 113 to 114 the first half, or the first 400 meters, instead of 107, save that 107 for the last lap, and again, continue to pick up the pace on the second and third lap. But you'll be able to do that if you play a little bit more conservative in the first 400 meters. Yeah. Again, it's just a matter of time now. I mean, right now you're extremely strong. 208, 1022 mile, 32. I mean, that's very, very strong. You're at 451 for the mile. You have the leg speed. I mean, you definitely have the leg speed to run well under 440. So it's just a matter of being a little bit more conservative in the first 400 meters and really pay attention to that third lap. And when it comes to that fourth lap, everybody's going to wait until the last 400 meters to start making a move in most cases. But I would try to make a move 600 meters out. Don't let, and when you make your move, be very strategic, be very focused, be very strong, and stay as relaxed as you can. But I would make a move 600 meters out, and then try, if you can't make it at 600 meters out, try it at 500 meters out. Yeah. Super Trebo, hey, what's going on, Run Dream? Good, man. Hope you're doing good. As the weather is getting hotter, more humid here in Myrtle Beach, I'm going to start doing more of my long runs on treadmill, 3 hours like I did last year. And it seems, I mean, a lot of athletes get great results off of treadmill training, and there's no shame in doing that. If you're at 1% incline, you're basically equaling outdoors. There's no wind resistance indoors, but you don't necessarily even have to have the incline at 1%. Just as long as you get the effort in, you stay consistent with the mileage on the treadmill. Yeah, I think that's a smart move. Hey, Mark. Hi, Coach. I set my current 5K PB 22:23 last week of March. Congrats. My current 10K PB on Easter Monday. Nice job. Awesome job. That's great. I've since upped my miles and intensity for the upcoming races, but my progress has stalled. I'm struggling to do my current 5K personal best over 3 to 4 kilometer efforts mid-long run. Yeah, just hang in there, man. Mark, there's going to be ebbs and flows with this. I know, I wish I had a magic formula to tell you that every workout was going to be perfect. And I'm preaching to the choir here with all of you, I know, but there's just some days you're going to feel flat. It doesn't mean like you're doing anything wrong, but just know that there's going to be ups and downs here in your training. There will be some flats, some feelings where you're feeling fatigued and plateaued a little bit, but as long as you continue to pay close attention to your recovery, jog on easy days. Okay, I mentioned earlier that 207 marathoner Yuki Kawachi. I mean, if he can run, just a great example, if he can run 5 kilometer pace on his easy days, that's 803 mile pace, and he's a 207 marathoner. This is a guy that can run around 448 mile pace for 26.2 miles. That's a good indication that we too can slow down on those recovery days and relax. Now, his R days are hard, of course, but just really take it easy. You're obviously progressing well. You got two big PERs there, man. 22:23 and a 47 flat 10K. Awesome job, man. You're moving in the right direction. Just if you're having some struggling to do my current 5K pace over 3 to 4 kilometer efforts. Yeah, I mean, and that's hard to do if you're running at 5K pace, race pace, over 3 to 4 kilometer efforts. Try instead of during your mid long run, maybe try instead of going 3 to 4 kilometers at that pace, maybe try doing like 800-meter reps at that pace. Shorten the reps a little bit, so it's not so demanding on you, and break it up a little bit more. Instead of going 3 to 4 kilometer efforts, try breaking some of those up, maybe 600 to 800-meter reps, or minutes. Maybe like throw in like 10 to 15 1-minute reps during that long run at 5K pace instead of doing 3 to 4 kilometer efforts all at once. I think that may help. I mean, that's just some suggestions there for you. 18 Try Life. I'm finishing up my 8th grade track season. My 8th grade. Congrats. My PR is 400 meters, 65, 800, 220. Okay. 1600, 508, 3 mile, 8:15, and marathon. You've already run a marathon and you're in 8th grade. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, I that's impressive. I didn't run a marathon until I was 25. My first marathon until I was 25. 8th grade, you've already run a marathon. Respect to you. And you've run some fast times already. I mean, for as young as you are, yeah, you're going to be running some incredible times in decades from now. Literally, your best running is decades from now. But I think right now the key thing is just enjoy the sport and enjoy what you're doing. Continue to learn from your teammates. Continue to learn from other athletes, like everybody here on the stream. There's a lot of knowledge here. It goes far beyond just what I do. I mean, everybody that comes to this channel leaves comments. Go back through, a lot of the videos that I've made and read the comments, because there's some really great advice that a lot of people here, a lot of athletes that come to the channel and that are on these streams that I started doing that can provide to you some really great input. But you got to be proud of yourself for what you've dropped already. That is incredible. What should you do? Just like I said, don't take yourself too seriously. No, you're going to continue to get much faster as you get older. My nephew, I mean, I've been watching him run since he was like in ninth. I think he started running in 9th grade. And now he's, gradually, before he graduated high school, he ran a 9:28 for 3,200 meters, 4:37 for 1,600 meters. He was much stronger than the 32, but COVID, the issue with that kind of threw his season off a little bit. But you're doing great, and I don't think you really need to change up anything that you're doing right now. Just make sure you continue to work on your leg speed. Have fun with the sport, and as you get older, just continue to study what the best runners are doing, the best middle distance runners, study what the best coaches do to help their athletes get as fast as possible. And yeah, you're going to be successful. You're already successful. Look at what you've done already. That's impressive. Let's see, Mark, I'm struggling. Let's see. Mark, I'm struggling to do my current 5. Oh, okay, 30. Yeah, we discussed that. Okay, Maureen, great answer. I would update. Yeah, please do, Maureen. Patrick, is there any benefits to running in the heat as far as stressing your body more, given that you stay hydrated and add electrolytes? Yeah, there is. I definitely think that in a lot of cases, and a lot of the research I've studied too, training in the heat definitely does have its benefits as well. You just really have to pay attention to not getting dehydrated, because a lot of times we drink what we think is enough, and it's usually not nearly as enough, as it should be. So yeah, I do think, again, getting out of your comfort zone and doing, and not just, staying comfortable all the time. You have to get out. You have to get outside your comfort zone and do it often. So, but yeah, training the heat, I think, definitely does have its benefits. Sim, yeah, your ferritin was 24. Doctor said it's normal. Yeah, the doctor, I don't know. And again, that's every doctor is going to have their own viewpoint of this. Okay, but when I hear Dr. Vigil, and again, he's PhD, he's an exercise physiologist. He's not a physician, but he knows athletic performance. And when you're at 24, that's extremely low. Like when I was tested, I was 21. So and your hemoglobin, okay, 15.3. Yeah, those are. I did 24 milligram personal best. Okay, okay. Iron supplement was plenty. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he says to take liquid ferrosol. So if you take a teaspoon of that in orange juice for about a month to a month and a half is what he says, with a 250 milligram vitamin C tablet. That will help get your ferritin levels up. I got mine from 21, and then several months later, I got it up to 88. And when I was at 88, I felt phenomenal. I mean, I started hitting personal best. And looking back, all through high school, all through college, I was probably borderline anemic and never knew it, because I didn't, until I was coached by Lisa Rainsberger, the 1985 Boston Marathon champion. That's the first individual who ever mentioned, hey, you need to get a blood test. Have you ever considered that? And I've had some great coaches. Jack Kazin, my collegiate coach, one of the best coaches in the world, an Olympic coach. He never mentioned it. And I know it wasn't his fault. It's just something maybe just never considered. But, just hearing him say in college all the time, like, Nate, you should be running in the fort well below, 15 minutes for 5,000 meters. And I was always wondering why. I'm doing decent workouts and training, but I keep hitting like 15:19 was my best collegiate time. Ran 14:18 later, many years after college, but I was always trying to get in the 14s, and he couldn't understand. You should be well below that. More than likely, I was probably running low on that. I just never know. So I'm glad to hear that you're taking care of that. That's good. Yeah, you're welcome, Isaac. You're welcome. Mindy, hey, good to see you. Hi, Coach. How much do you think you can take off your time if you run only one race at Hoji at Hoji records versus regionals versus two distance races? I ran 3,216 and was 25 seconds off my 3,200 meter. Yeah, a lot of times in high school, Mindy, yeah, you don't always have the luxury of saying to your coach, hey, I just want to focus on one event. Running two events definitely can tire most athletes out. But I mean, in most cases, if you're young, obviously, and you're in great shape, you can do both events. But after running a 1,600, yeah, like you said, you're 25 seconds off your 3,200 PR. It does take a little bit off. But just remember, if you're 25 seconds off, it's just because you're running on some fatigue legs. And I think at the end of the year, if you time and you taper down correctly and you time your best performances for the end of the year, and not try to hit school records or break records every race that you run, I think you're going to be okay, Mindy. Team try life. Sorry, 3 mile PRs, 18:15. Okay, good. What's your opinion on upper body strength work for distance runners? I hear low reps, heavy weights are better. Low reps, heavy weights are better. Then I hear lightweight. Yeah, I think there is a time for lifting heavy at times, but I'm more of a higher reps, lower weights type athlete. I just think you get in there, focus on strengthening the core running muscles of the body. You don't have to. You're not in there to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You don't need to be in the gym 3 days a week. If you want to do strength training once per week is plenty. And I like doing box jumps and lunges, planks, medicine ball drills, weighted sled drills, parachute sprints. We did a lot of that stuff when I was with the World Class Athlete program in Colorado Springs. We were fortunate because our strength and conditioning coach Uh, the Strength and Conditioning Association is headquartered right down in Colorado Springs, just a few miles from Fort Carson when I was stationed there. And so we had it was great to be able to work out there. But yeah, when you're focusing on strength training, yeah, I think and a mixture of both is fine, but just not overdoing it. And make sure that when you're doing strength training, focus on doing your strength training on the same days that you do your hard track workouts or your road sessions. You know, make sure that your recovery days are 100% recovery, so that you can continue to really push your body hard. You know, for months on end. You know, you can't just keep pushing hard all the time. There is a point of diminished returns for sure. Hey, John, good to see you. Hey, Coach, I'm about to do a 6-month plan for sim December. Okay, training in Vegas. Do you think I should train AM before the heat or after work when it's very hot to build a little extra resilience? Yeah, it's always better to get it done and out of the way. I mean, um, the majority of my career, I was working full time, uh, working with for being in the military for 20 years on active duty, and I had you just have to make that time. I know it's hard to do that if you're not much of a morning person. I'm not like a early morning person. Like if it's 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, I really have a hard time doing speed workouts at like that. But I've had to get up early and at times to do that. But you get that knocked out early, um, before work, and it's one less strain off of you. You know, you don't have to think about it the entire day like, man, and you don't know what the day's going to bring, you know, at work. So just do the best you can to get it done in the AM, especially with what you mentioned there before the heat. For sure, I would recommend doing that. Yeah, and good luck at sim. That's a great course. It's just from what I remember of it, you know, I ran it a few times, PR'd on that course. That is it does have a lot of rolling hills. I think it definitely prepare for the hills, but it can be a fast course. It's similar in terms of layout, similar to Boston. It is a net downhill course, but it's yeah, of all the courses, I never thought I'd do it at sim. I thought I'd do it at, you know, or Berlin or Valencia or somewhere like that, not sim. But what's great about that, John, is you are picking a perfect time of the year. December in Sacramento is always very calm. Usually it's very calm. It's not raining there. It's, you know, the temperatures at the start of the race are usually like 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So perfect weather conditions. The competition is absolutely insane there. Um, you know, when I finished fourth there in 2007 and 219, and now in most cases, if you run a 219 at sim, you're going to place maybe in the top 20, maybe. I mean, I looked at last year's results; it was pretty stacked. Um, it's tough to, but again, you have so much competition there that you're going to get pulled along. You're going to run a great time. Yeah. Hey, Matthew, would double threshold be better for the summer leading into cross country season instead of regular workouts? Uh, Double threshold training definitely, I think, will definitely increase your stamina, increase your endurance and your strength, but just do it sparingly because that's tough to do through, you know, during the summer months. I think if you do it twice a month or once to twice a month, doing 2 double threshold workouts in a day or during the week, I think you'll be okay. Um, and yeah, where you make your money during the off season, during the summer months, because I guarantee you, your competition, the ones that are really wanting to be very competitive, and I know you know this, Matthew, but they're going to be putting in the mile, so you're doing the right thing. But yeah, I would do, you know, experiment with it and see how it works for you, because I think a lot of athletes do very well with double threshold training. I actually have a couple of the athletes I train currently doing those types of workouts, and it's definitely challenging to them. I've done them myself as well, and it definitely does take a lot out of you. But again, if you give yourself about 48 hours of recovery and you really take those easy days and just jog, take it easy. Again, some of the world's top runners, they will run several minutes slower on their easy days compared to their race pace. So yeah, I think that's a good plan for you. Yeah, no problem, Sam. John, glad I could help. Hopefully that answers some of your questions there. Um, yeah, I mean, and like I say too, I always talk about those faster, very paced long runs. That takes several weeks to get to a point where you can do those. It's not something like I don't recommend any athlete, including myself. I mean, I don't try doing those until, um, if I'm doing like a 24-week buildup, I don't start doing those until I first have put about 4 weeks of easy aerobic mileage in, and then probably even 4 more weeks of base workouts, just maintenance workouts going into a 24-week buildup. So I probably usually wouldn't start even doing very paced long runs until about 8 weeks into a buildup. So it's tough. It's already hard enough just to build to the point where we all can just go out and do 10 miles without stopping. Just gradually get fitter, start building up your endurance, and then gradually start implementing some faster efforts in there. Hey, GT, a head coach, marathoner in 50s in past have been able to hit paces during training. The past 6 months, speed has been lower, even when feeling good. What adjustments should I make? Blood check on list now. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like I said, I wish I would have known that. And it's not always the case. I mean, some athletes, their ferritin levels are fine. It could just be, you need a little bit more recovery in your workouts. Maybe a little bit more variations instead of doing longer intervals. Maybe shorten your intervals a little bit. Maybe you're taking you're giving yourself too little rest in between each one of your intervals. Maybe you need to give yourself a little bit more rest. Maybe in the early few weeks of a buildup, you're doing repeat 1600s on the track and you're giving yourself 3 minutes of rest when you really should be giving yourself 4 minutes of recovery in between each one of your reps. And then as you adapt, then you start, giving yourself a little bit more recovery. It's just a mystery, as you all know. I mean, there's so many things that sometimes you can do everything correctly, and you're just not hitting the workouts. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen a week down the line. It's just that consistent training. And in your 50s, I'm 47, so I understand somewhat. As you get older here, this is you really have to pay more attention to the recovery and hydrating well. And instead of giving yourself maybe 2 days of recovery, sometimes you're going to need 3 days of recovery. I mean, even when I was in my early 30s and going into my PR races, it wasn't unusual to need 3 days of easy jogging after those hard 20 milers or 22 milers under 6 minute mile pace. When I was running 154 to 156, 157 range for 20 miles, I needed about 3 days of recovery before I did another track workout going into the following week. So I don't know if that answers your question, DT, but I just think kind of just mixing it up a little bit and make sure, like you said, check your blood just to see what and the doc might say, well, you're in normal range. Normal is between 30 to 300 nanograms. 30 is still on the lower end though. And as long as you're not below that, if you're below that, then you need to really work to get above that. Again, like I said, I was down at 21. I felt like crap. And then when I got to 88, I really started feeling phenomenal. I was hitting my workouts, started hitting some new PRs, and never at that time knew how important ferritin and iron is to the body. So Super Trevo, yeah, I noticed when I had pec injury, took 3 weeks off heavy bench press. My tempo run 8 miler was way faster with a lower heart rate effort after no heavy bench 3 weeks. Yeah, and a lot of times too, strength training, training over hills is a form of strength training. So if you need to take a couple weeks away from the gym, focus on doing repeat 50 to 100 meter hill repetitions, or running over, or doing some moderate long runs, not like 15, 20 miles, but maybe like 7 to 9 miles over hills. And I think getting used to running over hills and working those different muscle groups that you're just, it's not going to happen running on flat surfaces. But training over hills is a form of strength training too. That's good though that once you took that heavy bench press, you took that time away from that, your tempo increased. Yeah, because some athletes, a lot of the Kenyan athletes that were on the world class athlete program with me when I was at WCAP, they didn't do any strength training aside from push-ups and sit-ups. So again, strength training is just one component. For some athletes, they do very well with it, and then I've seen world-class athletes that just blow my mind that don't do any form of strength training whatsoever. And there's some athletes, my wife's phenomenal at, the year she ran PRs from 5K all the way up to 50 miles off of just distance. So some athletes can do very well just with consistent mileage and not doing any speed workouts. So, it's just every athlete's individual, and what works for some won't work best for others. But yeah. Teen Tri Life, what would be a challenging attainable goal for 10K based off of my PRs? Let me go back up here. So your 3-mile PR is 18:15, you said. So let me take a look at that. I want to see 18:15. Okay, so an 18:15 3-mile is equivalent to a 39:16 for 10K. So I'll give you a roundabout idea of what you're capable of for the 10K based off your 3-mile PR anyways. So, I mean, and these calculators, like I've talked about in other streams, they're not the be all end all, but they give you a decent indication. Like, let's go off of mine. Like I'll say here, my best marathon was 2:19:35. It says I should be able to run a half marathon in 1:06:34. My PR was 1:07:06. It says I should be able to run a 5K in 14:32. I ran 14:18. So again, it's a few seconds. It's a few seconds off, but relatively close. So based on your 18:15 3-mile time, you're looking at. Let me see again. I'll make sure that's right. Yeah, you're looking at around a 39:16 for 10K. So very competitive. Hey, Stavok, 1984, training for a 5K. I raced this week with 30 seconds off my PR, which is 16:57. Okay. I have a few 5K, 3Ks planned over the next 2 months. Should I use these as VO2 max workouts for those weeks? I run 90 kilometers, train for a 5K race this week with 30 seconds off my PR, which is 16:50. Okay, so you're running about 17:27. I have a few 5K, 3Ks planned over the next 2 months. Should I use these as VO2 max workouts for those? Yeah, I think that's okay, Stephen. I think you're going to run well below your PR in the 5K, just based on the fact that you can go out right now. You may be 30 seconds off, but I mean, did you go out to, a lot of things we can change in these races. I mean, the best advice I got in the 5,000 was don't try to make your move until you're past the first mile. Hold back in that first mile and then make it a 2.1 mile race. Okay. I think if you go too anaerobic too fast and too soon in that particular race distance, you can throw a piano can definitely be thrown on your back in the last 2.1 miles. So I think if you play it cool, you continue to work on your speed, do those 3Ks, but don't over race, don't overdo it. Even instead of racing, if you can do some time trials but do some 2-mile, 3K time trials thrown in there, and you continue to work on your speed, do those 200s, 400s, repeat 800s, and watch that first mile and make it like I said, make it a 2.1 mile race. I think you can go from a 16:57 to a 16, there really is no telling. It could be go from a 16:57 to a 16:30. You could break 16 minutes. I mean, it really can be done. It's a big jump, but it can be done. There was one of my nephew's teammates. He had a PR of 16:31. This happened just about a month ago. His PR was 16:31. He ran a 15:21 on the track. So it's just an example, but it's a good example that, hey, if done right and you're in there with the right competition, one day you're a 16:57 guy, and the next minute you're a sub 16 guy or a very low 16 guy. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. You're doing great. Trebo, okay, yeah. When I lived in Georgia, I had hills to run on, train on, but now living in Myrtle Beach, oh yeah, it's super flat like Florida. Do you think doing incline run workouts on treadmill will help? Yeah, definitely. If I was in Florida and I have spent a lot of time down there, yeah, it is. In your case, yeah, practicing not only doing hill reps or hillier workouts on the treadmill, but even practice doing some downhill as well. Get it just to work on, again, different muscle groups, but working on the hills and then going minus on the incline and going downhill, working on running faster downhill as well. I think, that's a good plan for sure. Stephen, thanks, coach. I probably went out a bit quick, but it was a hot day compared to, heat and humidity will throw anybody. I mean, most athletes off. So, yeah, I think that at least you recognize that. If it was hot out, I've never ran well. Even when I was in high school, I didn't like to race in the heat. Ran a couple decent races in the heat, but they were usually 1,600 meter races. They weren't, 3,200. I had a little bit more difficult time with in high school. But yeah, it's always better if it fall temperatures, cooler temperatures, rather than the heat. It always throws you off. But yeah, you're doing great. You're in great fitness to run that quick. Even running 17:27 around that range in the heat, you're in phenomenal shape. Just keep at it. Matthew, for double thresholds, how much volume would be ideal for 70 miles per week? 10K per session. Yeah, 10K per session. Yeah, that is a lot. Again, it depends on the overall fitness of the athlete, how far along you are. But even if you're doing and it doesn't have to be necessarily track sessions or longer interval track sessions. It could be doing 4 to 5 800s or 4 to 5 400s on the track for your AM workout, and then doing a 3 to 4 mile tempo run in the evening, or doing a fartlek workout in the evening, maybe 10 times or 8 to 10 times 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, doing a shorter fartlek session, but not so, not like doing, like you mentioned, like doing 10 1Ks in the morning and then doing 4 to 5 1,600 meter reps in the evening. That's a lot of volume there for sure. But if you're doing 70 miles a week, I would say, like I said, just try to keep the, especially as you're just introducing this to yourself and you're just starting double threshold training, keep your intervals and the intensity moderately hard, not like going all out on these efforts. Hey, Dino, hi, my PE class has the mile test tomorrow, and my normal time for a mile is 9 minutes. Any tips? Yeah, like I mentioned to somebody else earlier here in the stream, if you're running the 1,600, just don't go out. Let's see, you're aiming for 9 flat, 2.5, 2:15. So yeah, just do the best you can not to go out so fast in the first 400 meters of the race. If you can just really, Yeah, go out in 60. My best advice, yeah, going out in 60. Well, yeah, if you're trying to run 90 and close in 56, if you're trying to run 9 minutes for the mile, you want to go out much more conservative. Uh, yeah, if you're trying to break 4 minutes, that'd be totally, in terms of the intensity. 9 minutes, yeah, I would go out a lot more conservative in the first 400 meters. Really pay attention to the third lap. Stay as controlled and relaxed as you can as you're racing. And again, go into this feeling, just remind yourself of how fit you are. Be confident in your training and what you've done. Let your competition stress out. I always tell athletes, and I try to do the best I can to remember this myself in training. Make training the hardest part of your preparation. The race itself is kind of like a celebration of all the hard work you put in. It's not the day to be so overly stressed out. And I've made that mistake earlier in my career too. I would, even during like track sessions, I was way too serious. Of course, if you look at some of the world's top runners, like I always liked Haile Gebrselassie from Ethiopia. He was always smiling prior to the start of his races. He was always relaxed, but he was one of the world's top runners. First man to break 2:04 in the marathon. Ran 8:01 for the 2 mile. Had multiple world records. I know most of you have heard of Haile Gebrselassie, but he was always relaxed. So make sure tomorrow, prior to the start of your mile, stay confident, stay relaxed, but don't go out too aggressive in that first 400 meters. I think if you do that, if you play it a little bit more conservative in the first 400, and you stay calm, you stay relaxed, drop your arms as you're running it. If you feel like you're tightening up, consciously tell yourself to relax. If your face starts to tense up in the race, consciously tell, I'm in control. Whatever you have to tell yourself to stay confident and in control during the race, you'll be fine. I think you'll run well below 9 minutes if you hold off in that first 400. So yeah, good luck to you, and not just for me, but everybody here on the stream. I think you're going to do awesome. Chard, let's see. Thank you for all your content. Ran my first marathon today, 3:34 at 1,320 feet elevation. Congrats, that's awesome. Nice job. Yeah, 3:34 is no joke, folks. If you haven't ran a marathon yet, that is a very, very competitive, fast time. Great job. Super trade. Thank you for all your help, Ranger. Really appreciate it. I might try doing hill intervals tomorrow with my long run. Yeah, 1 mile flat, 1 mile incline, and so on. Working on leg strength. Good stuff. Good deal. Okay, thanks for the tips. I'll let you know. Yeah, please. Yeah, definitely let me know how it goes. Yeah, that's one of the major mistakes I made in high school. I was always trying to break 4 minutes for 1,600 meters, and I just did not have that type of leg speed. I mean, even to date, my fastest mile, 1,609 meters that I ever ran was 4:22. I ran 4:25 for 1,600 meters in high school, but I kept going out at 60 to 61 seconds the first 400 meters because, again, I was always trying to hold sub 4-minute pace. More than likely, if I would have went out in 65 to 66 seconds the first 400 meters, or even 67 seconds, I more than likely would have finished my career instead of a 4:25, might have been like a 4:16 to 4:17. So please be smart with that. And the fact that you're still in high school, you got plenty of time to make adjustments there. Hold off in that first 400 meters. Do the best you can to always and to stay in the first lane if you can. If you have to go out for lane 2, lane 3 at times to get around athletes, so be it. That's okay. But stay in the first lane. Run as the shortest amount of distance as you can in the race. Let's see. Hey, Patrick, today I ran a 10-mile long run and I averaged 5:45 per kilometer. Okay. When looking at 20-week half marathon plans, should I go for a sub 145 or 2 flat marathon? I've only been running for 2 months prior. Okay. Take a look. I'm going to look at that. So 2 flat marathon. Oh, wait, no, you're 2 flat. Let's see. Sub 145 or 2 flat. Are you talking about half marathons? Okay, my bad. Okay. So a 2 flat half marathon, that's 5:41K pace. 1:45, I think it'd be a little bit, not to say you can't do it. It's still doable, but that's 4:59 per kilometer for the 21.1Ks. And you're running 5:45. I would say I would say that a 2 flat half marathon, aim for the 20-week 2 flat half marathon plan. I think that's okay. You'll probably surprise yourself and still run under it, but I think instead of aiming for 1:45 right now, maybe start at trying to break 2 hours for the half marathon now, and then make your next goal 1:45, because those are two massive jumps. You're the fact that you can go 10 miles at 5:45 pace, that to me is indicative of definitely a time somewhere under 2 hours for the half marathon for sure. Just don't know how fast, but that's what I would pick. I would definitely pick the 2 hour half marathon as your first goal, and then aim for the sub 1:45. Because I think you'll probably run like 1:56, 1:58 range. It could be, or quicker. But to go out there and run 16 kilometers, 5:45 per K clip, yeah, you're definitely nearing those types of times for sure. Yeah, half marathon. Gotcha. Yeah. Hey, James, ran 2:54 in my second marathon. Okay, nice. Alternating between faster long runs and slow long runs really helped me. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, my pleasure. Man, respect. That's awesome. Great job. 2:54. What marathon was that? Where'd you run that at? That's awesome. Plan on purchasing when I get back from my vacation in mid-June. Half marathon will be on October 26th. Smart move. Yeah, that's I'm running a half too in October. I think that's a good time of year there. If you're running, especially as prep races for any type of these marathons, if you can do a 10 mile or even if you don't find a 10-mile race, do a 10-mile time trial or a 10-mile tempo, or even a 10-mile tempo rate or tempo effort. But doing a half marathon, leading into your goal marathon, that's good. Yeah, 2:54 is awesome. That to me is an elite time. Anything well under 3, if you're under 3 hours, you're really getting into a very small percentage of athletes that can run that quick. Okay, Manchester. Yeah, I heard Manchester. That's a good marathon. A lot of athletes do really run some great times there. Yeah, I think you look at races like Berlin, Manchester, London. London's got a lot of turns, but from what I've watched, I watched the race online. There's a lot more turns compared to like Berlin, and Valencia looks really quick too. That looks like a similar to Berlin. Very flat course, not as many turns, but yeah, that's great. I think and it's good that the faster runs alternating, as I always say, alternate it. Make sure that you jog. Jog that following after you do that faster effort long run. Follow that up with a very relaxed long run, but running much slower. Again, just a reminder of Yuki, 207 marathon. If he can go out and run 5-minute kilometer pace, 8:03 mile pace for his easy runs, and he can run a 207 marathon, that's, man. If we all can slow down on the easy days. Remember, that's where all the benefit comes from, those after the hard workouts are done. So yeah. All right, team. Well, hey, I'm going to head off here. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and hope the training continues to go well. I'll jump back on here next Sunday at 5 p.m., Lord willing. And thanks so much for jumping on here. Thanks for all the great questions. You all add to these live streams. It's not just me. You all add to them. The fact that you're bringing your input, you're bringing your questions. That's what makes this channel helpful for athletes too. When you leave comments, this is I want everybody that comes to the channel, either if you leave a comment or you jump on the streams, to feel like, hey, this is part of my community as well. So thank you all for jumping on here and all the support that all of you bring to the channel. And yeah, have a great evening, and hope you guys enjoy the videos that are coming up this week. I do the best I can to research some of the questions and some things that are on athletes' minds, and yeah, do the best I can to create those types of videos that hopefully answer those questions. So yeah, give you guys some hundreds. Appreciate y'all, and yeah, we'll log off for now, and I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, have a great week of training too.